from Angry Mob Games, and these are some of our, all of our previous games. We started with Guerrilla Bar, we did Muffin Night, Predators, and Alien vs. Predator. And I made here a quick video so you can check it out. Okay, so we did 4 titles starting from 2009, and they were all paid titles. And this is our new game that we're working on, and we are releasing right now in Australia. And this is our first free-to-play game. So when we switched to free-to-play, it made a huge, had to change a lot in the development process, and gonna tell you what we learned, how we decided to make the game design. So today I'm gonna tell you the advantages and disadvantages of cloning a game versus making an innovative game. But for this talk, let's not consider a clone like an identical clone. Let's just consider a game that's similar to other games and takes like heavy inspiration from those games. And for example, this is a screenshot I took from iTunes recently, and you can see these are some of the games that I consider to be innovative. So you can see out of 50 top grossing games, there are like 7 games that can be considered innovative. And you can see that you can be successful either by making something new, or you can also be like super successful if you copy other games. And those other games aren't necessarily clones. They are also based on existing genres or making small tweaks, but they're not really innovative. So when you're starting with a new project, there are a few decisions that you can take to how to make the game. So one of them, one of the easiest ways is to take an existing game and copy its design and just change the monetization model. So this usually works when you take a paid game and you just want to turn it to free-to-play game. So there are so many cases on the App Store where this happens. Then you can try to take an existing game and take a successful game and try to make it even better. And this usually means adding more polish and higher production values. But this could be like really hard if you're aiming to copy something that's already really high quality. And then you can take an established genre and try to add some innovative features. And this is usually a great idea, and so many developers are doing this. And this is great because users are used to this type of games, and they want to play this type of games, and it's easy to add new stuff for them to like it. And then you can also start from scratch and make a really innovative game. And this is like the hardest thing to do, and it's also the highest risk. So now let's see what are some of the pros and cons of doing a clone versus doing an innovative game. So let's think about the risk for cloning a game. You have like lower risk because you already know what you're doing, you already have the design, you don't spend that much money on prototyping, and you know there's like a market share out there. And for innovative games, you have to go into the unknown, so it's definitely higher risk. And yeah, and how about the market share? So will you know if you're gonna make a clone? Will you know there are gonna be people wanting to play your game? So if you are cloning something, you definitely know there's like if you clone something successful, you definitely know there's like a market for that type of games, and you know there's an audience waiting for such games. And if you're making something innovative, again, it's hard to tell before. If you're making something truly new, it's hard to tell if people are going to like it or not, and how big is the market share. And in terms of budgets, if you're doing a clone, you can easily estimate your budgets and see that existing designs, what they did, and estimate it really easy. You also cut the prototyping phase, which sometimes can be up to half a year or even more. So you jump straight to production, and you cut costs. Then you don't have to throw away any features if you just make a clone. So again, it's cheaper. And you can even take a look at an existing game and take their KPIs and if they're public or if you can get them, and estimate even the marketing budgets and even your profits before you start doing the game. And for an innovative game, the costs are much higher because you will spend so much time on research and development. You even spend time during the soft launch to A/B test a lot of things. And there are also like a lot of cut features that are just wasted money. And when you develop a clone, or take an inspiration for other games, you can take proven monetization models and include those in your games, and you can tell if monetization is going to work. And again, in innovative games, if you're doing something new, you have to test it in soft launch or something, and it's harder to tell before if it's going to be okay designed for the monetization or not. And how about the time to market? How long it takes from when you start to finish? Again, it's much quicker with clones. If you know what you're doing and you have a big studio and maybe a lot of content, it's really easy to outsource everything and you can do it super fast. And for innovative games, again, you have to spend time prototyping and testing ideas. Maybe a lot of things get thrown out. And it's also good for the team when you copy an existing game. All the team has a clear vision of the end product, and day-to-day jobs can be much more fluent. And in an innovative game, you have to have a different type of team. They have to visualize the end product and have a feel for for the gameplay before it's fully playable. So it's much harder. And how about getting new users? For clones, it's hard to get new users. It's always hard to get new users, and especially if you're making something similar to what's out there, it's hard to convince them to give up playing on the games they like just because you make a new theme or different graphics or a few extra features. Because if they get attached to a title, it's hard to switch. And an innovative game, again, it's hard to get the users because if you make something truly new, maybe they have to spend a lot of time learning the new mechanics, and you can even lose players just during the tutorial because you're making new stuff and they're not familiar with it. And how about how much money you can make from a game? So if you're doing a clone, you pretty much can tell before how much you can make based on the existing games. And you are a bit limited to what's already out there. But again, if you're copying something really successful, maybe you can be in that range. And if you're doing something innovative, you can either be like truly successful, if it's a hit, or if it's a failure, you can lose a lot of money and it's a wasted development. How about the users? So usually the users don't really like clones. I mean, even if it's like a good gameplay, they're always going to compare your game to what's already out there, and if you're making something innovative, users usually like it. And you also, if you're doing a clone, many good developers and talented developers don't really like just to spend their time copying other designs. While if you're doing something innovative, that might be like the only way to keep your team happy and keep the brilliant people around. In terms of press, they definitely like innovative games and they support them. And also, doing innovative games is really good to push the industry forward, and that's what happened with the App Store and indie developers. So, as a conclusion, both of them are really good models, and it depends. It's up to you to decide what's more important for you. If it's important to keep the risk low, especially if you have like a high budget, or if you have investors or funding, it's much better to keep it safe. That's why larger projects are usually inspired by others. And it's more important to keep the team happy, and if you don't have such a huge investment, usually that's why you see so many indie people doing innovative games. So it's up to you to decide what's best. So we decided to develop an innovative game, and we spent 2 years on it. And we made this sandbox adventure game, Toysburg. So let me show you a quick video. Okay, so for this game, we didn't really look at other games. We just started from scratch, and we made a sandbox world with a lot of crazy characters. And your purpose in the game is to go and explore and meet new kids and give them toys. And each time you give them a toy, the kids turn into those toys. And you have like a lot of super funny quests and a huge story and a great adventure. And we soft launched it this week in Australia, and it's going to be released on iOS and Android soon, in a couple of months. Yeah, so thank you. And if you'd like to ask any questions.
Anyone has a question in the audience? Okay. Well, I'm interested in like what size of team, how much time do you allocate per project to take this decision? Should we innovate or should we just copycat?
Well, that's a decision we make in the beginning. We spent on our previous project. We did the Alien vs Predator game. So we just decided to do something more relaxing and creative, and that's why we came up with this game. So it's not a decision we took to copy or not. So maybe in general, I don't know, it depends. I mean, it doesn't take time to think like, is it a clone, is it something new? Maybe you start with the whole process and it evolves from that. I mean, it can evolve into a clone or it can evolve into something new.
Yes, one question there.
Hi. What would be your definition of a clone? Because it could be copycat, or you could actually just be using a convention, a gameplay convention or a gameplay genre that already works. So how harsh do you see clone?
Well, I think it's really bad to make an identical game, and nobody should do that. And clone is like something that's really, really similar, and it borrows heavily, and it's up to each person to decide what they think it's a clone. So, yeah.
Question? Right. Do you have some personal success or fail story to share about the previous game you made and whether they were as successful you think they were based on your decision of making it innovative or making it as a clone?
So I don't know, they were all successful, they were really successful. It depends what you compare them with. Again, we are a smaller team, and for us, the investment wasn't that much, and we don't plan to make tens of millions of dollars from a game. So if the investment is low, we consider all of our games a success. So it's hard to tell.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Bogdan.
Thank you.
Again.